Nazara Technologies is actually the stock on our radar because I think 5% of their revenues comes from these skill-based fantasy games. Let's find out what this really means. Remember, these games are currently banned on Google Play for violating the platform's policy on gambling. To assess what this could mean for Nazara, we are joined by Nitish Mittersain, the Joint Managing Director at Nazara Tech. Nitish, what does this really mean? If you can just explain to us, and from your own company perspective, how do you benefit?
Sure. So as you know, the skill-based real money gaming space is, quite large in India. However, over the many years, there has been a lot of regulatory unclarity, as well as a lot of unclarity on how these businesses have to be taxed. And I think the more the clarity emerges, the more it is beneficial to companies like ourselves, that want to follow the law of the land to the last letter. Because today what tends to happen is there's a lot of unlevel playing field. You have a lot of unscrupulous players from outside the country taking advantage of this gray area where companies like us cannot aggressively invest because of lack of clarity. So I think any step that moves towards clarity is beneficial. And I think Google experimenting with fantasy games and rummy games on Google Play is a positive step in that direction.
No, but this is Google experimenting, right, Nitish? But is there clarity from the policy side coming through or not yet?
No, you're right. I think obviously Google cannot lend clarity to the regulatory, but I think a lot of activities happening at the government side, which makes us very hopeful that more clarity will, come across. Even if you see the GST, right? The GST Council has been looking at taxation on online gaming very actively, and we're also very hopeful the next, month or 2 months, more clarity will emerge on the GST side as well.
What kind of games are these? Because one sees advertisements for sort of poker and all kinds of games, right? On all kinds of platforms. So this includes all of that?
No, so Google has specifically carved out right now for fantasy sports and for online rummy. These two, as per the Supreme Court, are, skill-based games. And I believe basis that, Google is piloting with these games.
So for Nazara particularly, what percentage of your revenues comes? I mean, from these fantasy games, it's barely 5-10%, right?
So the skill-based RMG space does 6% of our revenue in Q1 of FY23. And, we acquired OpenPlay last year, which was in that space. And the team is actively working to build this business out for us.
Okay. So
I think the Google Play will definitely, boost us because one, your cost of acquisition becomes lower. There's less friction for people to download from Google Play versus, outside that environment. And secondly, I think organic discovery increases a lot on Google Play.
So this, you were saying that you're looking to actively grow this business, even the real money gaming business. And in your annual report, you had mentioned that you would also be looking to go through the inorganic route. Any acquisitions that you have lined up so far?
In that space, we are in active talks with a lot of partners. I think one thing we are definitely taking a pause on is more clarity on GST and how that plays out. Perhaps once there's more clarity on that front, you could expect us to take some inorganic steps as well.
What could be the size of the opportunity once there is clarity? I mean, is there any way to kind of gauge that? One doesn't know how this will be taken up, developed in a market like India, but any examples from other countries?
The skill-based RMG business already in India is very large. It probably contributes to 70-80% of the overall gaming revenues that are being generated in the country. A lot of these revenues come from some local players, but a lot of it also goes to a lot of international players who are operating in our country. So again, I'll repeat, that I think more clearer regulatory clarity on what is allowed and what is not allowed will make incumbent players like ourselves in a far better position and far stronger position to take a lot more aggressive steps. And this can open up a very large revenue opportunity for Nazara, but we will only do once there is enough clarity for us. We don't want to operate in gray areas.
And 70-80% of the 70%, 80% of what is real money skill-based games?
The overall revenues that are generated in India
from gaming. Okay, all right. And what is the number total overall?
It's probably 15-20,000 crores a year. I don't have an exact number.
And
with me,
70-80% of that is exactly this RMG.
Fantasy sports, online rummy, online poker,
Okay.
any games that are played for real money. But these are skill-based games, so they don't fall under gambling. That aspect I'm talking of. I'm obviously not referring to any gambling-related businesses.
Okay, one final question then, Nitish. In the quarter gone by, your margins were under a lot of pressure because there were high amount of ad spends, there was high content spend as well. Is that a trend that will continue in the quarters to come? And can you give us an average number?
Yeah. No, we are very happy operating at low margins at this point of time. Like I've said, many times. For us, I think what is really important is to grow aggressively. As you saw, year on year in Q1 of FY23, we grew by 70%. So our thinking is very clear. We don't want to fuel growth by burning a lot of cash or by getting into losses. As long as we can maintain profitable growth, we are very happy maintaining low margins. But I think strategically that is the right for us to do. Trying to optimize margins at this stage for us will be a very large sell pull that we would do for ourselves.